Hey sweet friends, this is Holly, and I'm going to be sharing some very fun and festive fall DIYs. Let's get into it. This is a Dollar General sign, some Dollar Tree pumpkin picks, and a rub-off transfer also from the Dollar Tree, and some craft sticks. And I started off by cutting my pumpkins in half. Then I took some Spanish moss and I glued it in the bottom of this sign so that my little pumpkins would have something to sit on. I started by gluing two of the bigger ones on the bottom and the smaller one on the top, but the one on the top wasn't really smaller. It's an optical illusion. I just cut a little closer to the edge of the pumpkin to make it look like it was smaller, which worked out really well, and I secured it with some hot glue. If you can't find the Dollar General sign, you could use this wastebasket and a canvas from Dollar Tree, or better yet, this grill tray. This is new and it's excellent and easy to cut and can easily be substituted. You just grab one of the canvas frames, take the canvas off, and then glue the grill tray or the garbage can on the back, and you'll get the exact same effect as this. And then I trimmed up my Spanish moss and secured it on the back with a bit more glue. I'm using a cinnamon stick for little stems for my pumpkins. I'm taking raffia and making a bow, and I'm going to put a little bow on each one of these pumpkins. Next, I took the craft sticks and I made a little sign with them, so I just held them together with a smaller craft stick on the back, and I deliberately cut the edges of them to be kind of rough so that it would look more like it's going with the pumpkin patch, I guess, the vibe here. And I lightened up the center and left the edges wood on purpose just so that my rub-on transfer would show up better. And then I rubbed it off and I noticed some of it disappeared. No big deal. I just took a brown Sharpie and went over the words. After that, I glued my little sign on the top, and I took a tumbling tower block and one of the wooden cubes from Dollar Tree to make a little makeshift stand. This is so festive and cute, and it just screams fall. You could put it in the kitchen. I actually did have it on the kitchen counter as an accent piece, but it could go in the bathroom. It could be a cute little shelf sitter. It is just so sweet and fun and perfect for fall. This one is one of my top pins on Pinterest that gets clicked. It was just a vase from the dollar store and some Mod Podge and some old leaves from a candle. This is it's like a wreath that you put around candles. It's the base, and it was just kind of old, and I got it at a thrift store, and I thought, I'm going to take the leaves off, and then I peeled the little plastic stems off. You probably saw me doing that. And I started gluing it down with Mod Podge. And here's what I would do differently. So I'm not gonna lie, this was really tough. These guys didn't want to lay flat because, as it turns out, silk faux leaves kind of are thick and they resist laying flat. If you found really, really thin ones, I think it would be much easier. And I just didn't give up because I'm determined, and you can see the blow dryer right there. I ended up drying as I was painting the Mod Podge on to make sure these guys stuck. But if I had to do it again, I would use a napkin with leaves, or I would go use some real leaves, or just even fabric, just something thinner, or look for silk flowers that are much thinner. Anyway, overnight it dried, and I didn't care for the way the Mod Podge looked. So an easy hack you can do, because Mod Podge is just like a sheet of plastic, is to take a knife and go around the edge of your leaves and then just peel it right off, and you'll have perfectly clean glass. And I just preferred that. I thought it looked more store-bought. And when I ended up lighting this up at, in the evening, I was so glad I did that because it really just showed the twinkle lights. But it's super simple to do, as you can see. And it gives it actually like a neat little border around the leaves, which worked out nicely. And then I tied some raffia on the top, and I just left it in a bow, and I took my battery operated fairy lights, put it in, and this is what we ended up with. And I'm not gonna lie, again, this came up absolutely gorgeous. It was stunning. It was one of those crafts, it kind of took your breath away. It was just so beautiful. The fairy lights I used were golden. I got, the warmer lights. I would like to try it this year with real leaves, to see how they hold up. I believe if you encase them in Mod Podge front and back, I think they're preserved. I don't know, we're gonna find out. Somebody comment down below if anyone's ever tried that before. I know you can preserve dry florals with wax. Tips and tricks down below are welcome. Anyway, I highly recommend this craft. It's stunning, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. Let me know what you think. Every year they sell these maple leaves at Dollar Tree, and I just took a wood water-based stain, but you could use watered down paint. You could use wax. It would all work. I just wanted a really, really, really light brown stain on here, like hardly noticeable. And every year I see these maple leaves too. And if you ever wondered what would I do with that, I've got a great idea for you. This actually comes out really cute. So I stain front and back and I dry it. And then I'm taking the burlap ribbon, I guess, and I'm cutting off the wire edges on purpose. And I save that because I kind of feel like it imitates branches. It gives it like a woodsy feel. And it was a maple leaf, so I thought we're going to hold on to those. And I had this buffalo check ribbon. I also cut the edges off of that because I wanted the ribbon to kind of dangle down in a soft way. You know, the wire sometimes stops it from hanging that way. And then after I cut the wire off, I just cut the ribbon down the center. And did you know, because ribbon is essentially plastic, it's polyester, and it melts a little bit. So if you take a little bit of flame like this, and you have to move fast, you can't catch your ribbon on fire, obviously. But if you just melt the edges a little bit, it will stop it from fraying. And in case you don't want it to fray, that's a great little trick. Then I took the Dollar Tree hula skirt, tied it in a knot at the top. It was just some pieces, and I tied it on the front of a leaf, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap that with raffia. But if I made this again, I would actually just use raffia for the whole thing, not the hula skirt, because the hula skirt is cute, but it doesn't really look as good as real raffia, I think. So I would skip that, and if you make this, I recommend you just stick with the raffia. And then I put the buffalo check ribbon tied in a knot on the back of the leaf. Then I glued some of the Dollar Tree lace down, and I made, I looped the lace ribbon around and around, tied it in the middle, and made like a lace bow. And then I took the wire, remember the wire I cut off of the ribbon in the beginning? That spindly, woodsy looking branch type wire. I put a bunch of that in the front, glued a brown button on top of it with some like fall berries or that little orange plant there. I don't know what that is. If someone does, you can leave a comment. And I glued it all down. And then I decided this would look really pretty with some beads. And I just strung some wood beads onto the twine, glued it on the back. This is very, very lightweight. And we were done. And I think this looks pretty on an accent wall if you have one in your house, like at the end of a hallway or in between rooms. I also think it looks absolutely beautiful on a bedroom door just to bring the season into different rooms. That's where I ended up putting mine, was on my bedroom door. Let me know what you think. So every season Dollar Tree sells those plastic trays, grab one, and every season they sell a little metal something that you can grab and hang, or a wooden sign. I sanded my tray to rough it up a little bit, and then I took it outside and gave it a spray paint, and I'm using the water-based stain, but again, watered down paint or an antique wax would work for this just fine. And I just kind of, stained the tray and gave it character and dimension. I just didn't want it a bright white. So this is what I ended up doing, and I'm using a makeup sponge to tap the edge of the frame again to give it some character so it's not just a flat brush stroke. But this was one of my most underrated crafts because it was one of my favorites, and it went under the radar because it was showcased with several other really good crafts, and it came at the end, and believe it or not, not every single person watches my videos to the end. So it got lost, and I would like to go over it again because I think it's beautiful. So Dollar Tree sells these metal pieces, and this was actually in one of my Dollar Trees last year, this exact same little wagon, so you can still find them. But this one was odd. The middle pumpkin was blue, as you saw in the beginning there before I started painting it, and the one that I painted green was purple. It kind of looked like a purple onion. And I thought, oh, no. I'm a big fan of the cream and the green if you're going to do different colors with the orange pumpkin. I think it's a cream and the green one that goes really well. So I repainted them and I used a little bit of brown paint and added shadows. I just tried to level it up. What I would do differently, I would leave the wagon. I ended up painting it red and it actually had a lot of texture and looked really good. I don't know, I did that. I don't know why I did that. And I ended up having to go over it with a white paint pen because I got some red on the lettering. So I would just, if you find this or something similar, I would just leave it alone. And then I used the super glue gel and hot glue to glue this down. It is metal, so you do have to use like a super glue or an E6000. It's not going to stay stuck on the tray if you don't. And I glued it down. And then I put Spanish moss at the bottom. I did trim it very short. I didn't want it all wild and woolly, but I thought that looked neat for this. And oh, that's right, I want to do full disclosure here. I did shiplap lines with pencil and I hated it. I ended up erasing those about 3 days later. I couldn't get them straight on either side and they looked like pencil. So I thought it looked better without, so we went with the minimalist look. This is definitely a rustic, fun craft to display in your home. It depends on how you decorate or where you want it. I think it showcased really beautifully in a kitchen. It came across more expensive because the piece that I made in the center was metal, and of course the tray didn't look plastic up close. It just looked like a really nice solid piece of decor. You'll have to let me know what you think down below in the comments. You're going to need one of the little wooden acorns at Dollar Tree. They still sell them, and some potpourri. And this is also another surprisingly stunning, high-end looking craft with very little effort. So the wood piece actually came with a natural mark in the middle of it. I didn't paint that in the middle. I decided to work around it because I thought it was beautiful. And again, I want to keep this primitive, natural, less is more craft. And so I used the color khaki and territorial beige from Apple Barrel Paint. Then I put the potpourri into a bag, and I'm showing you that I'm going to take my hammer. I'm going to walk it outside and slam it on the street and crush the potpourri down the best I could. And then I just went about doing the little nooks and crannies that are on top of the acorn, real acorns. I did it with the potpourri. And I found some coconut husk inside the potpourri, which was perfect for the stem. I mean, it couldn't have gotten any better. Look at that. It was like the perfect stem. I just trimmed it. And this is really the craft. I just covered it with the potpourri. It smelled really pretty too. And by the way, you can get essential oil and keep adding it to potpourri and keep the smell going. So this can actually work like an air freshener in your home. I just thought that would be a cute idea because it's cute. Anyway, last little piece, I needed, if they do cut really easy. This is Dollar Tree potpourri, by the way. The little pieces in there cut really easy, so when I needed to do, an edge there that wasn't perfect, I just cut it down and added it. Another lightweight craft, so simple, so it did great with just Dollar Tree twine, glued, no tape, nothing, didn't fall. But for what it was, it was such a simple idea. Look at how classy that looks up close. It was definitely a high-end piece. It was definitely a conversation piece. People would see it and go, what is that? Really nice craft. Oh, and I forgot, I edged a little bit, on the edge of the acorn. I used burnt umber to edge it. Just a dark brown would work, but really pretty accent piece for fall in your home. For this project, I used foam pumpkins in different sizes. So back then I used the ones with the plaid. I think they still sell them, but any foam pumpkin would work. You just need them in different sizes, preferably. And then I had a Bedspring from an old mattress. I'm showing you here that they're still available on Amazon. I didn't know this, but you can get them for $21. I think you get 10, but still you can get them for crafts, and I think that's really neat. You actually look for them under Bedspring for crafts, and that comes up. So I just popped this stem out. They're glued, but they do pop out, and you take the fabric off, and there's a styrofoam pumpkin under there. And I painted both of these with my homemade white chalk paint. The first one was bright orange, as you saw, so I had to do 2 coats because it bled through. And then I ended up putting the green paint here on this one. This green paint was actually from Joann's Fabric, and they don't even make that line of paint anymore, I don't think, but you can get it, well, almost the identical color from Apple Barrel Paint, because I saw it just recently actually at Walmart when I was there the other day. And then I dry brushed a little bit of white paint over the green paint to tone it down because it still bled through the orange one, and it actually ended up fading into a really creamy soft pastel peach, and I loved it. So I thought, okay, we're going to go with it, so we'll just soften up the green color. And then I took the Dollar Tree lace and I made a little bow, and I used a stained bead for the top instead of the traditional stem, and I used a little bit of raffia tucked underneath the ribbon. Then I had some raffia and I crammed it down in the hole there with my finger, and I glued the peach pumpkin on top of the soft green one, trimmed the raffia just a little bit, and then I made like a bird's nest out of the Spanish moss just so that these guys could sit inside the bed spring, and I glued them down. And look at this. This is such a perfect little pumpkin duo if you love shabby chic, if you love French country, cottage core, depending on how you do your cottage core, because I've seen cottage core before in pastels, and this would be perfect. For this one, you're going to need some shims. I had 4 shims, and I'm just sanding them down because they were a little rough and splintery. And then you're going to glue them together using wood glue and hot glue. Next, I just used some craft sticks to hold these together in the back and reinforce them. I used some antique parchment, and I just dry brushed. I didn't even dry brush it on. I did it in a way where I wanted some of the wood to show through because this was supposed to be rustic looking for sure. And we're making a little scarecrow here. So, you know what I mean? You can't have it like perfect. Well, you could if you want. Again, it depends on your decor style. But I had cut the shim down where it was really thin to make the rim of its hat and then glue it sideways. So you see these all the time with snowmen, scarecrows. I think everything's been made like the Santa Clauses, but back then this was a novel idea that I had. So it was really neat. And I drew some eyes on using pencil. I always draw my faces first with pencil because I'm not a very good drawer. I don't know if that's the right word, but I was looking at my phone, copying a scarecrow face. And after I had it down to where I was happy with it, I took a black painter's pen and went over it. And here I'm using the Dollar Tree hula skirt, and once again, if I had to do this differently, I would recommend that you just use raffia and stick with the raffia. I'm not a fan of the hula skirt anymore. I don't know why. I do like it. I wrapped a wreath one year for fall, and it's gorgeous. So for that, it depends. But for the, it's okay. It's okay. But if I did this again, I would use raffia. And then I did like a little spray of raffia on the top of his hat, and I took this Dollar Tree sunflower, they still sell them, and I glued it on the top. And then I just used some pink paint. You could use lipstick to make pink cheeks. I'm using the Dollar Tree ribbon. I'm tying it with the hula skirt, and I'm going to go ahead and use that as a bow. And again, for him, I think I would go a little fancier than just the bow. Maybe give him a full collar and like another big daisy or sunflower on him somehow. Or make it a girl, or make a girl and a boy. Oh, I don't know, you guys. I am definitely corny when it comes to scarecrows. I mean, if you have kids or if you have grandkids, you gotta have at least one scarecrow in your house because they're adorable, they're fun, they're kind of corny, but they're awesome. I love my little scarecrows. For this project, we're going to start off with one of the Dollar Tree pumpkins, and I just took the twine out and I painted the back of it white. Then I am taking a ruler and pencil and I am drawing shiplap on it. And this time, of course, the shiplap came up good because I had a ruler. I didn't have something glued down that was in the way of it. So it's nice and straight. And I did a dry brush using pewter gray from Apple Barrel Paint. And I am using territorial beige for the stem, but of course any brown would work for this. And I'm going to show you a neat little trick here coming up on how you can make your stems on the Dollar Tree pumpkins look real and really level up your decor piece. So for this one, I decided to wrap this stem with sisal rope, and to get it started, I used hot glue and tape just to get it started, and then I took the tape off later. But the sisal rope I'm using is a really high quality, expensive one from Amazon, and as a result, it was tough turning around the bends. So I actually recommend for this one, you go to Walmart and get the cheaper sisal rope. It will be easier to wrap, but it gives it a really neat rustic look, you'll see. So then I grabbed some burlap. You can get this now at Dollar Tree. And I wanted both sides frayed, so I pulled a little bit of the string off. And then I took the Dollar Tree stickers. You could use any vinyl stickers you want. And I spelled out the word fall. And then I did some reverse stenciling. I took a makeup sponge and some black paint and just tapped around the letters. I also had one of those Dollar Tree welcome signs that are metal. I think they still might sell these, and if they don't, they definitely sell the word signs during fall in wood. At least they have the last 3 years, so I anticipate them again this year. And then I took super glue. You kind of have to use super glue with the metal one for sure because it will pop off. And I glued the welcome on the top and the fall on the bottom, but I actually took the word fall and turned it a little bit sideways like a play on words so it looked like it was falling. I thought that was kind of cute. And when I was done with this, the welcome kind of disappeared. So I did end up taking some black paint and painting the welcome sign black. And for those of you that are new, who have never seen me do this trick before, it's going to be exciting because it's a great hack to make your stems look real. Once you paint, you just take a sharp object. I'm using some tweezers that are really pointy, and you scratch into it and you go a little bit below where the paint line is into the white paint, and it does a beautiful blend. It makes it look really natural. You can do the whole stem this way. I've shown that before too, but it's an awesome, fun little hack to do with your pumpkin stems. So here she is, you guys. What do you think about me painting the welcome sign black? Some people didn't like it back then, but nonetheless, it was a huge hit. Here's Georgia, her daughter Yvonne, and company. I guess the other lady didn't want her name up online, but they're up on my Pinterest. It was a big hit. They had a girls' day. They told me they had so much fun crafting this. But if you make one of my crafts, I would love to see it too. Or even if you just craft something different and you want to share it with me, I would love to see it. And you can do that on my Facebook page by tagging me in the photo. It will come up on my end under mentions, and I will share it to my wall. The link to my page is down below in the description box underneath this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I love you guys so much, and I will see you soon in the next video.